You're watching Small Cap Power, and joining us now is Javier Hasse, the Managing Director of Benzinga's Cannabis Division. He's also a writer, reporter, and editor, and he's famously authored the book Start Your Own Cannabis Business, published by Entrepreneur Media. Javier, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So very soon, Toronto is going to host the third Benzinga Cannabis Capital Conference. What can we expect from this year's event?
That is correct. So we're hosting an event on April 17th and 18th. You're very well aware, as Small Cap Power is one of our media partners. It's an event that pulls about 750 attendees, a little bit more, a bunch of institutional investors, cannabis investment funds, publicly traded cannabis companies, some very big privately held cannabis companies. We have great speakers, including Tim Seymour and John Nigerian from CNBC. We have Tahira Rahmatullah. She is the CFO at MTech Acquisition Corp. It's a NASDAQ-traded cannabis company that recently acquired MJ Freeway.
Okay.
We also have MJ Freeway's Jessica Billingsley speaking, Alan Brockstein, 420 investor, of course, our CEO, Jason Raznick, and just, I don't know, it's a massive lineup.
After these many months of legalization, what do you think are going to be the main themes that the industry is going to discuss at the conference?
We're only seeing the actual implementation of the recreational program now. From what I know, for instance, the first recreational shops here in Toronto are opening on April 1st. And it's pretty interesting. I think that the rec market in Canada in general is an interesting talking point, as most analysts seem to expect something different to happen here in Canada, right? With a recreational market thriving, but also a medical market still maintaining its own character, its own characteristics. I'm sure that is something we'll be discussing. How much will recreational and medical markets in Canada differ? Where will they, collide? Where will they combine, join forces?
You say this is going to be a business event, a B2B event. As the media partner, as Small Cap will be a media partner there, what can our viewers expect from the conference? What can they learn from the conference, from the content that we produce?
So again, I think we have a lot of very interesting speakers that are extremely savvy in their different areas. Most of them are also very knowledgeable when it comes to finance-related topics. And as I mentioned earlier, since this is a conference geared toward investors, whether that's institutional or retail investors, and companies trying to get funded and close deals, there will be a lot of focus on deal making, on financials, on the business side of the cannabis industry. Think of it as a biotech conference or a hedge fund event or a family offices event where people go and meet up and try and network and meet new providers or meet people who could fund them or who could potentially acquire them. Yeah. A lot of the larger companies are there meeting people and finding acquisition targets and closing M&A deals in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's an interesting event to check out in general.
So from within the lineup of companies who are going to attend the conference, any particular picks that you have, cannabis companies that you like? What
I can say is I think there is a lot of value right now in multi-state operators in the U.S. Some of the bigger companies offer very interesting value propositions, and they seem to be the ones who will be around in a few years, right, and withstand consolidation. This is just my personal take on things. I always find that there's a lot of value in private equity. Of course, this is not extremely useful for retail investors, but accredited investors and funds looking to invest in companies I think it's important they consider private equity. Some of the privately held companies offer great valuations and great value, while some of the publicly traded companies, on the other hand, have valuations that are not extremely well justified by their fundamentals. I think probably growth and M&A are factored into these valuations. So it's not crazy. It's nothing otherworldly. but there is, the overall bullishness in the market is clearly reflected in today's valuations. However, I do believe that many of these companies have the potential to grow into these valuations as they progress, as they acquire other assets, as they drive revenue, as more markets open, as margins ameliorate, right?
Yeah, so that's the way forward. Excellent. Javier, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to joining you at the Cannabis Conference. Thank you.